finally diving in. Not to book it. So today we are finally diving into the very final of the Dreamland Billionaire Series, which is Final Offer. For those that don't know, I already did the first two, Fine Print and Terms and Conditions. Like, I think back in my old apartment, like I did them forever ago, and I never like I had this book, right? I've had this book for a minute, but look how big this book is. Like, it's humongous. It's huge. That's what she said. But like this book was literally double both of those. So like those two together equaled this book. So I was like super just like not into it. Finally, I sat down and I read all 583 because I had the extended so I had like the epilogue and then I had like the extended epilogue. I don't know if all the books come with it, probably. So I read all 583 and let's talk about it. So before like we move on, recap because it's been a minute. There are three brothers, Declan, Rowan, and Callahan. They all have like shares in Dreamland. Like, it's this theme park that's definitely not based off of any real park where dreams come true. Okay. So they end up like being in, not like being in a will, but they're in their grandfather's will basically. And they each have like specific things they have to do to get what they want. And so like starting off with Rowan was the fine print. He has to take over the like park and run it, and he falls in love with Zahara. Declan has to get married and have a kid, so he fake marries his assistant. His assistant, I think. Fake marries her. They actually end up falling in love, working on a child, okay? Callahan, we read about him. Callahan has to move into a summer home for the summer. I know, the horror. He has to move into a home. It's terrible. How, you monsters, how dare you? But joking aside, he has to live there, and when he gets there, his ex is living there. His ex that he left 6 years prior, he left her at this house, and she's still there. So Lana is still there. Alana, not Lana, Alana. He calls her Lana, so I've called her Lana. But Alana is still there. So he goes in and he's like, hey man, sorry, I'm selling this house. And she's like, no you're not, I live here. And he's like, no baby, like I'm selling it. And she's like, okay, well call your lawyer because my name's on the deed. And he goes and he looks, and sure enough, her name is on the deed. So he can't just like kick her out. So he's like, super ticked off, right? Not vibing it. I love that I'm speaking like as I'm like just talking like crap right now. So he kind of realizes that he's like still in love with her, and she's like, no, you left me, we're good. And she also has Cammy, who is this little girl, and he's like, oh my gosh, is that my daughter? And she's like, no. And he's like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, because it's not even my daughter. Basically, Lana's sister is like a serious like addict and signed Cammy over to her like years prior, just because like Alana was like, I'll take care of her, and her sister was like, okay, well I'd rather run off and, you know, do these things. So which has really been like hard on her. And also like it kind of relates because Cal left Lana years ago because he has a serious like drinking problem, and he has to like, he's gone to rehab and it's never stuck. So it's like basically she's just surrounded by people that are like addicted to something, and she's like, okay, I just like, that's why she like doesn't really talk to her sister. She doesn't really talk to Cal. She's like, I'm just trying to like be the best person I can for this girl who needs me, who like, I am her mom. Like basically like the sister is like, well, are you afraid if I come back that Cammy's gonna want to come home with me? And she's like, no, because I'm her mom at the end of the day. Like, you signed her over, you don't want her, you haven't seen her in years, you don't care about her, I'm her mom. love Alana. First off, love her. So he starts staying in the guest house while he's there because she's like, you're not staying in the main house. And him and Lana start like hitting it off here and there. Him and Cammy start hitting it off. And he's like, oh, I still love her. Like, I'm still in love with her. And she's like, nah, not really, because it's no longer just about her. She has Cammy to look after. And she's like, I can't let this little girl get attached to you, because if you're just going to leave again. So they basically end up like, over like the course of like chapters, like 10 chapters, they start like talking more. They're like friends, they're friendly. He moves into the spare bedroom, like they're kind of hooking up, but they're like still like they're trying to keep it away from Cammy, just because they don't want her to get attached. And like Lana says to him, like, it's no longer just about me, like it's no longer just me in the picture, like I have a little girl. And she mentioned to him multiple times that she does not want a relationship with him until he like kind of pulls it together, but she never full on asks him like, hey, will you like stop drinking? She's just more like, hey, like it's not for me. Like, I don't even think she drinks. Like, he like will be drinking socially, and she's like, I just don't really want to deal with it. And he's like, oh, are you mad at me? And she's like, I'm not mad at you, I just don't like, I don't really want to be around you. So it's super like sad, because like he keeps like trying to like pursue a relationship, and she's like, no, like I'm not doing it with somebody who is a flight risk, who has left me before, and who has like a serious addiction, like when I have a little girl to care about. Like, sorry. Like, she's very mature about the whole thing, which I love. So basically they're about to go on vacation in Dreamland, and Cal is like, I'm gonna go call my lawyer. And he calls the lawyer, and he's like, hey ma'am, how long do I have to like stay at the summer house? Like, I know I have to be here for the summer, but like what's the timeline? And the lawyer's like, 120 days. Like, why? Like, you have a month left, like you're almost done, why would you want to give up? And he's like, I don't want to give up, I want to go to rehab. And the lawyer's like, what? And he's like, yeah, I want to go to rehab, I want to get sober for myself, and like I kind of have these two like girls that are like counting on me, and I really want them in my life. And the lawyer's like, okay, well, if you want to go to rehab, you can. And he's like, will it ruin my chances? And he's like, no, it won't. And he's like, how? I thought I had to. Like, his grandfather was like so specific, like with every single person's thing. Also, this is my cute cup that I got from my sister. It says easily distracted by books. I love it. But basically he's like, you're super specific, like how's it okay if I just like, and the lawyer's like, well, basically in the contract it says if you come to me and you say you want to get sober, which like his grandfather predicted that he would want to once he saw Alana and everything, he was like, then you can leave and go to rehab, but you have to get a green chip, which in the book a green chip is 3 months, which I don't know, because when I googled it, I'm pretty sure a chip means 6 months, like an actual thing. But then I also saw that it means 9 months, then I saw that it means 30 days, so I think it just depends. But basically he's like, yeah, your grandfather said like, cool, if you want to leave, that's totally fine, like you don't have to finish it out if you're going to go get sober voluntarily, but you have to get a green chip or the entire thing is null and void. So he's like, okay, cool. So fun fact, I'm getting a new camera tomorrow, so it only makes sense that my camera died like in the middle of like talking, which is so frustrating. Okay, bring it back in. So him and Declan and Cal are discussing like the whole will and everything that has to do with like Lana and stuff like that. And Alana overhears this from a window, and she doesn't really hear the whole thing, but she thinks that she's being used just to get an inheritance. And she thinks that like that's why he has to sell the house and everything. So basically she's like, I'm done, I'm not talking to you. She doesn't really want to like be around him anymore, so she's overall just like completely done with him, right? So she ends up like, he's like, I'm gonna go to rehab. She's like, okay, cool, get out of my house. And basically like takes the key back, and he leaves, and he goes back to like Rowan's house, and Rowan's like, what's going on? He's like, I leave for rehab tomorrow, but like I got kicked out of my house. Like, I'm like, okay, stay with us. So basically he leaves, and she goes into his bedroom, and she's like looking around, and she sees that he has like a little note for her, and the note is so sad. It's like so well known in like the book community, and it's God, it's so depressing. I double marked it because I was like, it's so sad. The note says to Alana, maybe if I can open a page. I dare you to wait for me, the real me, the sober me, the best me who wants to spend the rest of his life getting drunk on life with you. Rest of his days. And then it's like on the back of the photo of them from Dreamland, and he was like sober, and she's like looking at it and she's like, oh my god, like this is the life I want. So she calls the other wives, Zahra and Iris, and she's like, can somebody like tell me what's going on? And Iris is like, I'm on my way. And so Iris like flies her helicopter to her, and they're like just so rich, and basically tells her like, you know, like he's in love with you, he's supposed to sell the house, but like he's doing it because he loves you, and he's getting sober because of you. Like it's literally because of you. So he comes back after 30 days, and she's like in the process of selling the house because that's what he wanted, and he feels really good. He ends up going to an AA meeting where he sees his father, and his father is celebrating his 600 plus days of being sober. And he's like, what are you doing here? And his dad's like, I'm here for the same reason you are. And he's like, oh. So basically he's like, I guess my dad was like challenged to go to AA and get sober just to get his inheritance as well, and the will and everything. So basically it comes down to Cal like sets aside a trust fund for Cammy and like any future children that him and Alana might have. And the way they set up is like after they sell the house, all that money goes to it. So like once the house is officially sold, they can move back in because he puts a final offer in on the house. It's like, it's really confusing. Like he even says like, oh, like lawyers have to do it. It's really confusing. But basically he sets aside like $26 billion for like their kids to do whatever the hell they want. And I'm like, I wish someone said $26 billion aside for me. Damn, be rich. Anyway, at this point, all three of the brothers and the dad sit down with the lawyer, and they basically have to go over everything. And the lawyer's like, did you guys complete all this? They're like, yes. And we find out that Iris is pregnant. So like Declan has officially like started a family, which was his whole thing. Why does it sound like black? I was about to take off into space. So we're like, okay, awesome. Basically they have the entire time, they're like, they've been rushing this entire time to get done so that way they can like beat their dad. So basically the grandpa set up where if you didn't do your things, your dad got everything, and they don't want their dad to have everything. Their dad is like not a nice guy, he's a real jerk. We learn about a lot of him in terms and conditions. He's like a real terrible person. So basically the entire time it's revealed that they can vote if their dad gets to keep, like if they all complete their stuff, they get to vote if their dad gets to keep anything or if their dad's just out. And their grandfather set up basically the entire time trying to like give his son like a chance. I think it was like he got two choices, the dad did, which was like make amends with your children or go sober. And he went sober, and that was like the easier choice. And so grandpa was like, hey, get rocked, you're done. So they basically like Rowan and Declan are like, no, you don't get it, like obviously no. And Cal's like, do I get to vote? And they're like, not really, because like it doesn't really count, it's like 2 out of 3, so like even if you say yes. But Cal ends up saying yes because he's like, kill him with kindness, because that's what like their mom used to do. And then he's like, I hope my dad lives in misery, because he doesn't care about anyone but himself. So Cal and Alana get together, happily ever after for them. He stays sober. He says it's a struggle. We learn that Rowan and Zahra get married and they have a baby, and then Declan becomes CEO because was his thing that he was going to do. And he ends up having a baby, and Alana gets pregnant, and she has a couple miscarriages, which almost knocks Cal off the wagon, but he ends up staying on fully. And she ends up getting pregnant and having baby Esme. And then literally 2 months later, she gets pregnant again. So it ends with Cammy comes up to Cal and asks if he would please be her dad, and hands her like adoption papers, and he accepts them, and he's like, I'm gonna adopt you, and he hugs her. And then he sees Esme and Alana come in, and he hugs them as well, and he's like, I'm so happy I have my family. Everyone was saying this was the best book of the series, okay, and I was really hesitant because it's the longest. I couldn't even think about reading this entire thing. I did really enjoy this book. In all honesty, I really enjoyed it. Do I think it was the best? So personally, I liked Rowan and Zara's book the best, The Fine Print, which was very controversial because a lot of people liked Terms and Conditions. I liked that book. It was good, but it wasn't like, oh my god, amazing. Fine Print was really good. So I liked that it was like very sweet, and it was like really like wholesome and like, oh. I think it's right up there with Fine Print. I think that they're both, you know, the same. Most people love the Declan story. Don't get me wrong, Declan's great. I think him and Iris are adorable, but their story was like really predictable. And I understand that's how kind of like all of these kind of like romance novels are. Like you can only have so many, you know, so many plot twists. So it's like a tie between Rowan and Zahara's and Callahan and Alana. They're tied, which Iris and Declan are right behind. I put Iris and Declan Terms and Conditions as a 3 out of 5. Fine Print is a 4 out of 5. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie Final Offer in with a 4 out of 5 as well, just because. Yeah, I'm really sad that this series is over. The Dreamland Billionaires. I really did like it. I feel like that was kind of like my big start to like, especially YouTube. Like it's one of like the first. Not the first video that I ever did, but it was, I posted the first, the Fine Print video in December 29th of 2022. And it was my first video to get, oh no, it wasn't. Did pretty well. Did really well, actually. So, I mean, that was 2 years ago. It's 2024 in February, and when I'm recording this, so it's like this was like this series has been with me. And then Terms and Conditions I posted March 1st of 2023, so it's been almost a year later. Well, over a year since the first one, almost a year for this third one to come out. But the second book was my first video to get over 300. So like, I don't know, I'm very happy that this book, you know, I'm very happy. I'm gonna miss this series a lot. I'm definitely gonna try to find some more Lauren Asher stuff. I know she writes some cool Formula One books. I'm gonna try to probably get into those, but right now I'm trying to kill my TBR because if you take a slight gander to the left, that's my TBR list. That, and then over there on the ground, all of those. That's my to be read. So I'm trying to kill my to be read right now. So, but no, Dreamland Billionaires, I'm gonna miss you. Thank you so much for, you know, starting my channel. This was not the, and like I said, these were not the first books I ever did, but this was the first like big series I did, because I did the Wicked Villain series, but I did that all at once. These were like actually like, and they're all like super small. They're like novella style. So like, yeah, but no, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. It helps me out so much more than you think. I'm currently busting through books and videos right now. I have never been moving so quickly. My February calendar, after I have one more video to film, and then that February is like completely done. So I'm already starting on March. So I think this book is going to be in March, because just based on everything. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe. It helps you out so much more than you could possibly think. And until next time, bye.